coming, dude. Leslie, roll call.
Councilmember Galt. Here. Councilmember Mark. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Walz.
Here.
Mayor LaRue.
Open floor to public comment. Anybody have anything to talk about that's not on the agenda? John?
Okay, I have the annual ice fishing derby at the Lake Davis. This is my third year. I did my little paperwork to get the fee waived for the banner and to borrow the trailer that I've used every year. They came back kind of with negative on each of them. So when I paid for the banner, I just did that because it's all good. The high school has to pay, everybody has to pay. I'm okay with that. I paid, it goes to the city. That's what the whole idea is for here. But now my derby with the trailer, I really would like to use that trailer. Almost to the point where I need it for my derby. Because I'm up there at 4, people think it's cold when they get there at 7. It's very cold. You know, and it has it come in one end, out the other. We bring it up on our own time, we bring it back. I can't see any, you know, it could end not doing it again if I don't have this. I'd have to try to borrow one from somebody else, but it's just, and after that, I know that Rotary is probably going to be hitting you guys up for it because they've used it for gosh knows how many years.
Now, what kind of trailer is it?
I think it's a snowmobile trailer, right?
Yeah, it's a public works snowmobile trailer. But we use it for parks, and in the summertime it hauls all the lawnmowers and parks equipment. So.
Like a flatbed?
No, it's
it's
fully
enclosed.
Oh, okay.
And there's a heater that you plug in, and Grizzly Store lets me plug in there. I use their power, you know, and we plug in. It has a nice heater that we heat up, and it just, yeah, it would be rough without it. So I guess I'm trying to get on for next week's, or in 2 weeks or whatever the next meeting, because my derby is the 2nd of February.
I'm going to say something about this in my manager's report.
Oh, okay, okay. So, John, basically the Derby is designed to help the Cancer Society, bring tourists into the area,
Yes.
economic development. What are the other?
Just primarily bring people here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess if it gets bigger and bigger, I could change it and donate money, but I checked, you know, I surveyed people and things for me to get the most donations, and the biggest thing is to go with American Cancer. It's not to say for Portola Fire Department. I wish it was. You know, if I get enough, I can kick some down there. But like Trout Unlimited, I finally dropped them because they were raping me and not doing nothing except using me for their advertising and my derby. You know, Cabela's has offered me money to take it, you know, I guess to run it, because I guess they used to have one. So I just don't, it just brings a lot of people to town. Like I had 100 guys up there ice fishing, and I know they brought families. So where are their wife and kids? They're down here, I gotta imagine Quick Stop, Thrift Shop, the restaurants, whatever's open for them. And I just don't know very much things going on in the middle of February in this community. You know, so. And it is big. The first year I couldn't give you the true numbers on that. I think it was 40 something. I know the second year was 100, and I expect to exceed that easily again this year, unfortunately, for my time and effort. It's not easy, you know, so. But I guess that's my thing. I'm here to say I want to meet back in 2 weeks for you guys to say, John, you have the trailer. That's pretty much it, cut and dry. I make nothing on this. I make nothing. I think last year it cost me and Kel almost $400 out of our pockets. We get nothing. I don't pay no time, nothing. So yeah, it's for the city, and who hasn't been affected by cancer, I just don't know. You know, I've asked people, I've gone around, and it seems that's the way to go. If I can get enough money, because American Cancer has outright told me they love it, and they said I don't have to give them all the money. So if I get enough and I get more people into it, then yeah, I can kick a percentage, or I just can't commit to how much I can give any of our local fire department. I'm bringing the people in for the businesses in town, and I know every business in town has donated. I can't think of one that I have asked that hasn't given me a raffle prize in this town. So that doesn't, I think they would be upset too if it didn't happen again. I don't know of anybody that would do it.
Thank you, John. It's a good cause. I mean, I can see the economic positive
Yeah,
on
didn't
the
get put it on
economic.
the agenda. I don't know. Put it on the agenda for us?
I mean, I'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just for the trailer.
Okay.
I don't need the fee waived, I got that, that's all cool.
Okay,
It's all good to go.
thank you, John.
Right,
Okay,
thanks, John.
you guys all have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, you too. Go put some long pants on.
Yes.
Or long
They're not
car.
pants. Okay.
Okay, any further public comment? Eric?
I just want to see how much I support people like John that are trying to do things for this community out there with their own time and effort. And I did the same thing in Sonoma County with an autocross for American Valley, for American Cancer Society. And there's a lot of effort that goes into these events. And you don't know if you're going to break even or not. But to have somebody put in this energy, particularly this time of year and getting out 4 o'clock in the morning on the ice, is pretty incredible. And I just commend him for his dedication to this community and what he's trying to do in a new way that is unique to this community. Thank you.
Any further comments? Okay, committee reports, city council committee. There apparently haven't been any meetings unless anybody has something. Okay, since there's nothing to report there, we'll go to the city manager's report.
And I do just have a few things. I did want to let you know that I did ask Steve and Susan to not come tonight because it was a really short agenda, and I'm sure they're very happy right now, knowing that I didn't. The city did have a little gathering after Christmas, our little end of the year party. Michelle and Juliana came, and I did want to report that we did award the City Employee of the Year to Mike Octor, our Public Works crew, because he worked really hard and we got the treatment plan online this year. And then because somebody single-handedly kept Concerts in the Park going this summer, Bill Powers was the Volunteer of the Year, so they were presented their awards. Then the John Pato's request, I did put it in your boxes. I wrote him a letter. I just followed the direction that we've had in the past, which from the city council for the last few budgets have said, don't put in money in there for donations, that we're not going to do it. So the fee for the hanging the banner, like he said, he did pay that, and the banner's up, but he did pay that fee. The other thing he wanted was to use the trailer. Again, that is that would be a donation. If you want to put it on the next agenda, we can. You know, Steve will be here. We would have to find that to decide it's not a gift of public funds, you'd have to make some findings. If you guys would like me to put that on the next week's agenda, I will. Okay. We'll be closed on the 21st for Martin Luther King Day. I put an article in your boxes this morning that wasn't in our paper, but it was on the website about Quincy Fire doing a partial tax, and I just thought that was pretty interesting because we've talked about that too. The city manager position has been advertised. It's been in a couple of city manager professional brochures. It was in the Portola Reporter today. It still has a couple more. Something else comes out next week. We already are getting applications, and I put the brochure in your box. It's right on our website. What somebody has to do, they can download the city application and submit it. But if anybody has any questions, I've already been getting emails, so send them to me. The new website, Julie's been working with the chamber and with Richard Scully to get that going. It's designed, we're going through it with final edits, so it'll be up soon. I mean, we're doing the end of it, but I think it's looking good. And today, Apple approved our mobile app. Now, that made Richard Scully really happy. I'm not really sure what that means, but.
Apple's a big name.
It's been kids with the iPhones.
I guess so. I mean, I have an iPhone, but it still doesn't mean a whole lot to me. So, anyway, remember Saturday, February 9th, we're having a special city council meeting. And although tonight looks really short, you'll make up for that on the 23rd, I promise. And then the deadline, again, for everybody to remember for the city council, the vacant city council seat in the treasurer position is next Wednesday, the 16th. And as you know, we've gotten some letters of interest.
The 16th?
Yeah, next Wednesday. So that's all I have.
Regarding the trailer, John was mentioning that they limped it out, or they charged a fee to the Rotary for that trailer.
I'm not aware that we've ever charged.
We've never charged Rotary.
Yeah,
So how would it be a donation? Just the usage of it?
it's city property.
But you don't charge a fee to anyone else that you lend it to?
Well, I would say we should never lend it to somebody.
You said you lent to the Rotary.
That was before
In the
the
past.
new policy.
In the past, but since,
So-
and for the last couple of years, the city council has said they didn't want to do those donations, so.
Well, I can continue and say.
Well, it'll be on the agenda at the next meeting, and we'll be able to talk about it. I mean, it's
Okay,
not on the
just-
agenda tonight.
Just urge the council to consider taking each individual case on its basis of what its,
I
for
would-
its merit.
That's on the
instead of-
agenda next, on the 23rd, you can
Instead-
tell them that, but it's not on the agenda tonight for them to answer you.
Okay, I wasn't making a comment, I was asking for an answer.
Well, they can't do that because it's not on the agenda, Mike, I'm sure you're aware of that.
Okay, let's move to the consent calendar. It's recommended that consent calendar items be acted on simultaneously unless council members want to have discussion or action.
I move that we accept the consent calendar.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, first order of business tonight is Wildcat Creek. Consider approval of the memorandum of understanding between the city of Portola and Plymouth Unified School District for use of city property for educational purposes, discussion, possible action.
Back in 2010, the city entered into a memorandum of understanding with the school district to allow them to come to city property, the Wildcat Creek property out there, and do some outdoor education. Karen worked on this in the past with the school district. We realized that it had expired, and they asked for us to consider renewing it. So in front of you tonight is the same MOU that we used before. It just sets out the parameters of what they can do. We didn't ever have any problems with it. I think if I was you, I would consider maybe not having to renew it every year. We talked about maybe even a 3-year.
Yeah, I think a 3-year is
I mean,
very
it's-
wise, yeah.
Again, like I said, tonight's a pretty slim agenda.
Yeah.
Well, there's only 3 of you.
Any public comment here? Bob?
Who is in charge of it now that they no longer have a middle school? And I assume then that the 7th and 8th graders at the high school are the ones that are asking for this?
Yes.
So we're not just renewing it just because it's a contract. Somebody actually
Somebody did
wants to do something with it.
Yes, they asked about coming back this year, this spring, and using the property again. And I think the
Oh, okay.
school needs to have the MOU, which just makes it formal that they can come onto our property and bring the kids.
Okay, I have no problem with that.
I think it's very cool.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
clean it up and.
Right, they do a lot.
Can I ask what do they use it for? Do they use
I mean, I'm not sure what the
environmental
curriculum,
teaching?
yes, I don't know what the curriculum is, but they do go out there, I think they identify.
like an outdoor,
plants.
outdoor
Outdoor
education.
education. And they do some cleanup while they're there, so.
Okay.
So
Prelude to environmental science.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve it and extend the contract for 3 years.
I'll second that.
Sounds good. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, item B, Red Cross, consider approval of an authorized provider agreement between the city and Red Cross for aquatic and medical training. Discussion possible action.
Well, this is a little new this year. Jennifer Connell, the pool manager, and I met with a representative from the Red Cross Aquatics Division, and they've reorganized the way they're doing aquatics throughout the country, and instead of doing district-wide, it's going to be a nationwide program. So they have some new forms and some new documents, and now they have probably a new fee. But, so they need anybody that gives a Red Cross class, and then, like the little kids that take swimming lessons get a little card from the Red Cross that says they went to swimming lessons. And So to do that now, we need to enter into this authorized provider agreement that we have Red Cross certified trainers that are giving the Red Cross class and then they get credit. Now, they are going to charge us, I think, a $300 fee this year for that. So, which is new, but that's kind of a different story. The agreement only says we will be the authorized provider. So the agreement that I'm asking you to consider tonight is just for that. It's not for the money because I want to look at that in a different aspect. But, and truthfully, the little kid that gets the card probably doesn't really care a whole lot that it's Red Cross certified. And his mom's probably just really happy to learn to swim. But those lifeguards that took the Red Cross, the class that teaches you how to teach swimming lessons, to keep up their certification, they have to teach the class and they have to prove they did. So that's really the importance is for our instructors, not as much for the little kids to keep this going and to keep it Red Cross certified. So I think that aspect of this is the most important. And it also hits Leah, who does some first aid training and CPR training for, she's been doing it for firefighters too. And again, for her to keep that training certificate up, she has to keep giving the class. She has to prove to Red Cross that she gave the class. So that's why I think it's important, not as much for the little kid who we could like print out a certificate that says you had a swimming lesson. So, I mean, I think it's important for that aspect. Is it going to cost us $300 this year? I think it is. We are going to look at pool fees. I'm going to talk to Jennifer. Her and I have a couple things we've been discussing. She has a couple things she wants to maybe change up at the pool. We're going to need to do that kind of different. We usually do fees and, you know, at the budget hearings, but the pool opens before July 1st, which is when that takes effect. So you're going to see probably in March or April, Jennifer come to the council meeting and we'll go over some things. And I'm going to go, in that process, we'll go back, we'll look and see how many swimming lessons we gave in the last couple of years to try to see if we can divide a $300 fee up between all those swimming lessons. You know, it might mean we have to increase swimming lessons by $1 or $2 a lesson. And maybe it won't. So I'm going to look at that aspect in that, but I think if it does, we haven't raised swimming lesson fees for, I don't think, 10 years. So if we have to raise them a couple bucks to cover that fee for the Red Cross, we do. You know, that'll be a decision then, but we'll look at it, maybe we won't even have to.
And it's not a real big fee.
No, it's $40. It's $40 for a 2-week swimming lesson, and so if we ended up having to make it 42 or 43, you know, to cover the city's expense for this, you know, that would be something to consider then. But I want to look at all that and look at the expenses and the revenue from the last few years, and that's what I was planning to do with Jennifer anyway, so we'll just throw this into the mix. But, so all we really want to do is just enter into the agreement.
Any public comments? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the authorized provider agreement.
I will second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item C, abatement. Renew the condition of property located at 201 Main Street and consider an extension of time for compliance. Discussion, possible action.
Does anybody that's been to the last few meetings want to take this and do it?
What happened, Larry?
I feel kind of like a broken record.
Okay, I left for Santa Rosa just before the snow came on Saturday. And Ernie was going to try to pick it up before then, and he had that chance. After that point, you know, you can't even get anything to drop it at my place or even get access to it. And he's been inundated with work. He does it when he's got a free moment, and that's what he's agreed to. But he hasn't had any free time. So I would ask either, I've talked to Chris, if you have to take it on yourselves to do it, or if you can just give us some more time. We still want to take care of it, we just have to be able to do it. And since these are volunteers, you know, he's got to do it when he's got time.
With the amount of work that's been done on that property, I really think spring thaw is not unreasonable.
Well, like I said, I don't know when the snow's going to melt. You know, and like Ernie said, is that may be frozen in the deck.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
it'll be.
So, and the little bit of water goes in there, I know it's frozen now. And it's covered, and it's probably got a foot of snow on top of it. I drove by this morning to see if it was still there. because a friend of mine said he thought it was gone, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I drove by there last weekend.
Yeah.
It's still
But
there.
I just kept, I go by and hold him, but I don't want to bug him because, you know, he's doing when he's got a chance. And his first thing is to take their customer that pay.
Will we leave it for the winter?
I mean, I think, as I said in the staff report,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody that's
No.
going to do it now. So, in light of that, and Bill's correct, they've done a whole lot. It's just this last little piece. I know everybody's tried, so
That one thing.
the staff report recommends.
And if it gets covered with snow during the winter, we could just build a snowman right next to it. Like a snow-
On top of it.
On top of that.
Everybody can climb in and
We could just-
You could do
I know where there's crews that builds 8 or 10 or 11 floors.
So I would suggest that we just give another extension to some reasonable time when we think the weather may be better. I think in the staff report, April 24th, May 8th?
May is usually a good month in the mountains. Why don't we go there?
May sounds good. Okay.
That's fantastic. It better be clear of snow by then.
I mean, I just think, that's where we are.
Yeah,
And so hopefully maybe some
good
volunteers.
recommendation, Leslie.
Thank you.
Okay,
do I have a
so
motion?
I'll make a motion that we put it off until May
No
8th.
public comment?
Oh, sorry, public comment.
I am against it. The guy has been given so many extensions. I wouldn't expect those kind of extensions if I don't pay my water bill or get rid of a shed in my backyard and we just bending over backwards. If we're not going to enforce the laws, let's not have them. Let's not even start the process. He's had enough time. Make him pay to get rid of it. And Ernie isn't that busy. I'm an old fat man and have coffee with him every morning, and I know what he does every day. And he is not that busy.
I would
So
like to say, I'm a little frustrated with how long it's taking. I understand, but I'm kind of at the same frame of mind as you. Enough is enough, let's get it over with, and, I mean,
All he has to do is pay. It's his property, it's worth something. Let's enforce the law.
Let me make a point on this. Number one, he's having problems in his family and supporting his wife.
We all have problems.
May I have the floor? And the other thing is that if he's agreed to it, if you want to do it, but the same thing as we got into with Smith's, you may end up leaning the property and having it sitting there because you want to be that assertive. He doesn't have a whole lot of money. That's why I've done this. As a
and the only
volunteer.
reason why it's gotten done is because of you, Larry, and I'd like to thank you for
But
that.
he's also paid me the dump fees that's come out of his pocket. And he's having a hard time. He's not even sure if he can keep up a mortgage or not. So if it gets foreclosed on, you can have a lien on it and for a tub because you want to make your point. And I'm agreeing with it. There's municipal codes that we don't need. I'm more disturbed about vandalism on that house than what was behind a fence that wasn't visible to the public.
I agree with Bob Horton that you should follow through with how the process has been followed through in the past, because you're doing an injustice to Roger Smith, who has property lien, and people like John Pato, who's being, not forced to do the manner fee, but in agreement to follow the codes, just like everybody else's. My neighbor, Zazuetas, were under the gun on abatements, and they had to, they had to do a lot of extra things and pull a lot of stops and pull out, make some extra phone calls, do what it takes. And here we've had the city offering to come in and just do it. And I don't see what him and Han is. Just we should get it. We should go in and get it done, and negotiate the fees after that. I guess if you have to lien the property, do that too. That's the
Leslie,
process.
how much would it cost the city? How much would we charge him?
We would probably hire somebody, we would hire it out to do it, and then we wouldn't charge, well, he could pay us, but if he doesn't, then we'd lien the property. I mean, that's the process. There's quite a bit more posting and stuff that has to be done if we get to that. But, I mean, that's the next step, is to decide to do it ourselves. And then you put a lien on his property, which you will never, until it sells. We do have a lien on another property that we did for abatement. We still have it until the property sells. And if it's foreclosed on, I don't know what would happen. I don't know where an abatement lien sits in the priority.
Right.
How bad is it right now?
I mean, it's
I
just,
haven't, I mean, I see
It's
it.
a hot
but I
tub
it's
haven't-
just the hot tubs. It's
Just
just
the
a
hot-
broken hot tub sitting in the front
And
yard.
does it have to
It's
be?
not broken.
Well, you just said it was filled up with water, which probably froze, I'm probably
You
gonna guess.
complained it had been filled with rose bushes and other things and other debris that people put in
Do
it.
you think it's really gonna ever be used
There was
as,
maybe 2 inches of water in it this fall.
do you think it's gonna be used as a hot tub again?
If I haul it off, I'm gonna see if it works.
So it's something that you'd like to take
Well,
and possibly use
you know, Ernie didn't have a place where I said, haul to my place and I'll see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then I'll dispose of it.
I'll commit to
But
it, guys.
I did this because I didn't want another situation like we had with Smith's. And Mike, you're the one that protested the way it was done by the city. And you personally said it was like the SS coming in.
That's a different situation.
And all I'm saying is, this is a different situation where he doesn't have family here to help him. He isn't in a critical need. And I don't see any problem. And I look at our abatement program, I look at Sonoma County, it's the bottom of their priorities in municipal code. Yet it seems to be the most important thing here. Yet we don't care if somebody comes in and destroys and breaks windows in somebody's property. We can't do anything about that. I think we need to change our code.
Well, if we give it until May, that's 7 months that he's had.
Yeah, well, I don't need till May, I just need to have it dry and get in there.
Right, but when will that be?
I don't know.
No, I don't know either,
I can't
that's
predict
why.
it.
I know.
No, it's nice if you give me till May, but I'll get out as soon as I can.
If we go ahead with the abatement, you say there's going to be further postings.
Right.
That gives him time to get it off of there. This isn't Sonoma County. I can't say that we don't care about people breaking windows. I say let's enforce the law. It gives him time. It puts him on final notice that he's either going to come up with the money or the city's going to do it. And let's go ahead and do it. It sounds like somebody in this room is looking to get a free hot tub, and if that's the way it is, then let him go over and take it now.
Let me clarify on that. Kurt McBride, at this meeting, said he'd come in and haul it off and cut it up. When I went out there to meet him, he said, I can't do it, it'll cost me $60 to dump. So then it went back to me again, and I discussed this with Juliana. I left for Christmas to be gone, just as the snow came in. No, I don't care what Ernie does, it's his business and his time, but he's volunteering for nothing.
Why don't you just demolish it and have Christian pay for the dump fee of $60?
Well, if we demolish it, it won't be $60, but you know, you gotta put it snow, and I'm gonna break my tail away. I'm not gonna sit on
No,
my
I'm
ice
not
right
saying
now.
you specifically, I'm just saying that there are those options.
You know, I mean,
So if
we're
you-
taking an option that, you know, if we can use it, then I'll do that. I don't know. I'll put some time in and have it wired to 220 to find out if it even works. That would be my expense. But, you know, if I get it, then I've got to use hot tub. I've got one already in the ground that was given to me. But otherwise, I will dispose of it, which will be at my expense.
How long would that notice?
I'd have to get the code, and I don't even know when we would, again, with the weather, I don't know if we'd even really get to it quite that fast. And that's kind of why I think, right now, you're to the point where you're pretty much waiting till the weather's a little better before anybody's gonna do anything with the hot tub. So why not, I mean, I don't know.
So in reality, we're not really.
And he's done a lot of the cleanup.
Yeah, he's done, between the two of them, it's not been something that Larry's totally taken over.
Ernie's got me agreeing on it.
Definitely met in the middle.
Mhm.
And if we put this off until May 8th, it sounds like it's not so much a giving Christians something free, it's that right now, it's under a hardship to try and get rid of it. So it's kind of more for us, or Larry, or the city
And if you know of anybody who wants
to
to
put
take
it
it,
off.
I don't need to have it in my place. Bob, if you want it, well, I'll do it.
I don't want it, I just want to enforce the law. Otherwise, don't even start the process.
If we decide to extend it, I would say would be the last and final time, because honestly, I'm tired of extending it. I think it should have been done way before the snow even hit.
If you say May, there's no problem.
If we went ahead and moved forward with the abatement process, how long would the next step take?
I don't know. I mean,
It's like 180 days.
well, no, I think we've already done some of, no, we've already done most of the process, but it does have to be posted again, and we have to figure out how much it's gonna cost the city to do it, and forward him how much money it's gonna cost, come back to you, I think, one more time. So, I mean, I think you're talking 2 months, 2 more months.
When we're talking about staff time, that's so valuable now, according to the grand jury report, and Todd's got so many things he has to deal with. I don't see the problem, particularly when we'll get it done at no expense to anybody.
It would be less time involved, less cost to the city, to the staff, if we postpone it for May 8th. And I agree with you as far as May 8th, period, you know.
Yeah,
that-
all right, if I
that's
can
it.
stipulate that, saying that that is the final deadline, no more extensions, I will go ahead and motion that we go ahead and extend it this one final time.
Well, if it becomes a problem, I'll cut it up like Kurt was gonna do and haul it off.
And that's what I was gonna say
Yeah.
too, just to not let you or Christian forget about it until
No,
May. If
I
the time
haven't read. I
arises that you
came,
can.
I came back when I came back from Santa
Yeah.
Rosa. But like I said, you know, everything is full of ice. I don't even know if you can get it off without breaking something.
You should probably make a note of that then, the time, as far as how many months you're giving extension, because people are gonna, if somebody comes in the future and asks, you should pretty much be willing to give them an automatic extension up to that point, for pretty much any reason, because there's been all kinds of reasons to move it, and I see his point to not move it for cost effectiveness, but once again, you're setting a precedent, so as long as you keep track of the time amount you're allotting for the fairness of everybody else in the future, I feel that's okay.
For weather and, you know, and also as long as they're meeting us in the middle, like Christian's meeting us in the middle. So, you know, he's not just sitting there waiting for a handout.
And he's
been
paid
helping.
fees, it's cost him
I think
expensive, but not as much as it would
too
cost.
far, but
Yeah.
You know, if you look at the Smith project, what was that, $22,000?
I just think 6 months on this one's a little,
No,
that's setting precedence for the future if somebody asks for an extension.
Well, what I'm saying
in the
is-
next 6 months, and that might come into some bad things.
the property that we had to
Try to
six,
do it expediently as
On-
possible.
Leslie may remember, I think it was $22,000 that was leaned against our property for the cleanup. Now, how do you recoup that when you try to sell a property? Yeah, to my
How does he
knowledge,
recoup it?
how does the owner cover that cost
Well-
of that lien? And I'm asking you,
When he sells the
but
property,
what I'm
he
saying is-
doesn't get as much money for it.
But what I'm saying is, it was 2005, we put that cash out to do it. We haven't got a dime back, and all we have is a lien. That's not good business to me.
That is what happens, that's correct. That's why we try to not do it so much.
That's why, you know, that's why I took this on this way.
Pat?
When did we start the abatement on this property?
Gosh.
The September, this note says September 2012. I think it was brought
Yeah, don't
before
worry.
that, but it became an abatement issue in September.
It's in September, for sure, for sure.
Not before that.
And since that time, part of it has been done.
All
I
of
mean,
them.
I guess I want to, it's not like this person did nothing since September, and we've given him an extension for everything. In fact, the backyard got cleaned up, I would say, fairly quickly. It's just this one little, or the one big issue. And it's a hot tub in a front yard that,
Well, to remind the council, it was 14 trips to the dump locally and 8 trips to Reno with metal. And now we're talking about one pickup truck for a hot tub.
I'd like to make a motion that we do extend it, like Leslie said, until May 8th, and put in the stipulation that there will be no more extensions, and also that within this time frame, should the time or the weather allow, that we get it out of there.
Well, good.
When you make the thing, why don't you say that it is they're given the extension because of the weather?
Due to the weather.
Due to weather.
I like that.
Yeah, that way we're setting the
Because that way we're not
precedence.
saying, well, we're just doing it because you like Joe Smith or whatever. There is a
Due
reason.
to the weather.
It's like you're trying to clean up grounds with snow on it. How are you gonna do that?
Mm-hmm,
You know, if you get in the same situation where you've got no cleanup,
okay.
or have you even towed vehicles out, that's on us.
Okay, do we have a motion?
We do.
Yes.
I will
I'll-
second that motion.
Yes.
I got it.
With that.
And we add due to the weather.
I did.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, Pat.
moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
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 That's important tonight.
Yeah, apparently. Okay, do we have anything else at all?
You got it.
So,
Good job.
move for adjournment of the shortest meeting ever, the Portola City Council.
It's pretty close, there's been one just up as fast.
Very good. Good job, Bill.
Very nicely done.
Did you move to adjourn?
Oh, I'll move to adjourn.
Yeah, we need
I will
that.
second.
Otherwise you have to stay here.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. All right, well, we will make up for this on the 23rd.